Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you and welcome to our second installment of our reverse pitch session for advanced manufacturing, presented by EDB and the Singapore Economic Development Board. My name is Wei Min from SGInnovate, and today we have an exciting program lined up ahead of us. But before that, I would like to invite representatives from both SGInnovate and EDB to start off today's opening remarks by Suzuki Sim, Executive Director, Community and Brand of SGInnovate, and Lily Phua, VP and Head Innovation of EDB. Suzuki, please.
Thank you, Wei Min, and hello, everyone. Very warm welcome. Thank you for joining us. Just very briefly, I wanted to just kickstart the session by talking a little bit about SGInnovate and why we do these sessions. Our mission at SGInnovate is to build the deep tech economy. And one of the ways we do this is by helping to build and scale deep tech startups from Singapore for the world. To spark deeper and more impactful collaboration between startups and corporates, we teamed up with EDB to establish the Open Innovation Partnership. This is a platform that promotes corporate innovation and provides opportunities to startups to work alongside leading companies in a range of industries. As Wei Min said, today is our second reverse pitch that we are organizing. Our first pitch took place about 3 months ago, and we saw about 20 startups registering their interest to work on the problem statements that were presented by the companies then. And very exciting, this has led to some POCs that are ongoing, and the startups are working on with the companies. And we also hope that today's session will generate as much, if not more, success from and work alongside the companies who are presenting today. Today's reverse pitch is focused on advanced manufacturing, a new and exciting area of innovation and technology, which has the potential to disrupt and transform Singapore's manufacturing landscape. As you know, manufacturing has been key to Singapore's economic success from the very beginning. And our move to advanced manufacturing will be very important to achieving our goal of growing the manufacturing sector by 50% over the next 10 years. I'm looking forward to the Fireside Chat, as well as the presentations from the various companies who've joined us. To the startup teams joining us today, I really encourage you to please take part in this session, be engaged, pose your questions, and consider how the emerging and frontier technologies that you're currently working on may help address the problem statements that the companies will be sharing with us. Again, I'd like to thank our partner EDB for working with us to make this reverse pitch possible. And of course, without the companies to share their problem statements with us today, this would not have been possible. So thank you for joining us here today. So before we start the session, I would like to now call on Lily Phua, VP and Head of Innovation from EDB, to please say a few words. Lily?
Hey, thank you, Zuki. Hello, everyone. This is Lily from EDB. Just wanted to echo Zuki's words earlier on. We are extremely delighted to have you with us at the second edition of the Open Innovation Series, which seeks to, connect our corporates with the startups to co-create innovative solutions in and out of Singapore. And this afternoon, we are extremely privileged to have with us Dr. David Jakubovic from Procter & Gamble, who will be sharing his experience in open innovation. And as for the reverse pitch, I just wanted to express excitement that there are 4 great companies with us this afternoon: Bosch Rexroth, Infineon Technologies, Toyota, Daihatsu Engineering and Manufacturing, and TVS Motor Company. These companies will be sharing with you their problem statements in the area of advanced manufacturing. I know we're all ready to go, so I will stop here, and I wish all the participants a fruitful time this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Zuki and Lily. All right, so next up, our program for today will actually be led by a Fireside Chat with Dr. David Jakubovic, R&D Senior Director, Open Innovation and Sustainable Packaging, Europe and Asia from Procter & Gamble, which is to be moderated by our close friend and partner, Eden Lim, Assistant Vice President, Innovation at EDB. So following which, it will be our corporate stars for today, which is basically our final segment, where we have invited corporate partners, as mentioned by Lily, that they'll be sharing the problem statements which startups may have an answer to. The sequence of presentation will be as such. So firstly, we will have Bosch Rexroth, followed by Infineon Technologies, followed by Toyota, Daihatsu, Engineering and Manufacturing, and last but not least, TVS Motor Company. Now, this event is born out of the Open Innovation Partnership between EDB and SGInnovate, which was also mentioned by both Ziki and Lily, which is to promote the adoption of science and deep tech innovation and catalyze corporate startup innovation. And on this note, before we begin with the corporate sharing, let us just hear more from David and Ethan to understand how the open innovation system can benefit both corporates and startup in the region. I'll now pass the time to Ethan and David. Ethan and David, please.
Thank you very much, Wei Min, and a very good afternoon to everyone. I'm Ethan from the innovation team in EDB and will be moderating today's Fireside Chat. We're very happy to have David from Procter & Gamble to share his views on pursuing a win-win approach for open innovation. As Wei Min mentioned, David is currently the R&D Senior Director, Open Innovation and Sustainable Packaging for Europe and Asia. He's been with the company for 33 years, and for the last 8 years, he was leading P&G's Connect and Develop program. And he has also recently assumed responsibility for sustainable packaging in Asia and Europe, and is now based in the UK. Welcome, David, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me, Nathan. Pleasure to be with you today at this exciting event.
Thank you very much, David. So I'll just start the Fireside Chat by asking, P&G's approach toward innovation has been described as with the heart of a startup and the resources of a global corporation. Can you help us to unpack this further, especially in the context of how you would think about open innovation?
Yeah, let me do that for you, Ethan. So at P&G, we describe innovation as our lifeblood. We feel it's enabled our success when we were first a startup, which although that was a long time ago, back in 1837, we really try and retain the entrepreneurial spirit, personal leadership, and hunger for success that we feel characterizes startups. And like a startup, we realize that growth often comes through disruptive innovation and finding new ways to serve the consumers. For example, over the years, we feel we've reinvented the job of washing clothes from what used to be a daily chore using soap-based products that needed lots of hot water, lots of elbow grease, and many hours at the sink into one of assured results with convenient forms such as our new Tide laundry pods that perform in cold water, and in so doing greatly reduce the demand for hot water energy and reduce the CO2 footprint of the consumer's life as they're using those products, or fabric conditioners that we've invented, and scent beads which extend the life of clothes and leave them feeling and smelling clean and fresh for days after the wash. And as we've grown from that startup many years ago, we also now benefit from the scale and resources we have with our global manufacturing, distribution, and sales capability that let us commercialize our innovation at scale and pace. And we're also very fortunate that we can call on significant marketing and R&D resource. For instance, here in Singapore, we've got an innovation center with almost 500 scientists and engineers working on brands such as Head & Shoulders, Pantene, SK2, Ambipure Joy, Vicks, and Pampers. I hope many of you enjoy using those. Yet we realize that outside P&G and outside our walls, many great ideas, innovators, and solutions exist. And there's an opportunity, therefore, to tap into that external ecosystem. So we partner externally to share our needs and challenges and look for partners who share our ambition to serve the consumer and have complementary capabilities that can enable us then to seek those new solutions and work together to find a win-win solution where we're serving the consumer, leveraging P&G's assets and capabilities, and bringing on top of that the capability and expertise of external partners. So I hope that helps unpack both the construct and the context within which we work, which is a context of innovation, and then looking externally and partnering to solve the big challenges we face.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, David. And I think what was important that you raised, that the realization that a company must have that good ideas lie outside, and therefore how do you absorb and integrate those solutions? And for the second question I wanted to ask, in terms of good practices in open innovation, we've heard companies share about securing buy-in from senior management, establishing rapport with business units, to identify problem statements and so on. We're actually interested to find out if there's a system in place within P&G to maximize the likelihood of success for all your partnerships. Can you share more about that, please?
Yeah, that's a great question. And let me break that into two parts. Yes, we do have systems and organizational constructs in place to help us succeed with open innovation. And in fact, I'm part of a small corporate, what we call Connect and Develop team. That's our brand of open innovation that really spearheads best practices in open innovation, codifies that for the company so that everybody within the company can understand and benefit from those. And we also build and nurture external partnerships and the external ecosystem in the strategic fields we're looking to innovate in. For example, I work very closely in Singapore with A-Star, NUS, and NTU, who are one of our key global research partners, to bring and partner with them on research challenges we have. But in addition, actually, I think as well as the systemic approaches, I think the key really is to start with a mindset of looking externally for the best solutions and not assuming that if it's not invented here, it's not as good. And also a mindset of seeking win-win scenarios so that all parties involved benefit from the success. And by doing so, then they're focused on those mutual goals, and that will also sustain all parties through the inevitable setbacks you have with innovation. When you're trying to do something that's never been done before, you do stumble, you do fall. You need to ensure you're going to get back up again, and only by having mutual agreement on what you're trying to achieve, and then a common win-win setup and scenario such that when you do both get back up and you do succeed, both parties win. That really, I think, sustains and enables you to succeed with innovation.
Thank you, David. Very inspiring. And I think many companies attending to this event that can definitely learn from that. And you mentioned a couple of household names under P&G's portfolio. So as a multi-brand company with diverse products serving different customers, how does the company manage your open innovation strategy? So do you have a unique strategy for individual products, or do you take a broader and more holistic approach and identify synergies whenever applicable?
That's a very good question, and it's probably a little bit of both, because I really feel the best open innovation strategies actually flow from the brand and business strategies, and they're in service of those. Open innovation is really a how-to choice. It's how to do something. It's not a means in itself. It's not an end in itself. So it really needs to be in service of the strategies. So at P&G, our open innovation strategy is actually owned and developed by the business units and their leadership. Having said that, we do seek to benefit from the scale we have. So on things such as best practices I mentioned, which I'm involved in the organization to develop those. And we also can inspire each other by looking at the successes and the open innovation strategies across different business units to get a feel for what's possible through open innovation. So that the strategies then can ultimately match what's needed, which is the business needs and the business strategies, with what's possible, which is the open innovation possibilities. And an example of that, for instance, is here in Singapore, our beauty care business unit, which has some of its global leadership here in Singapore, really identified and set the goal for themselves of developing new businesses and brands in beauty care. And we've partnered with EDB then to develop a growth works program, as we call it, which is intending to then nurture, incubate, and learn on big, new, disruptive businesses and brands that we can then first explore and learn with here in Singapore, and then expand globally. And that strategy came first from the business need, and then EDB were very helpful in helping us then develop an open innovation strategy to develop a program against that need.
Thank you, David. And now that you mentioned P&G's open innovation activity in Singapore, so the company launched iLab in May this year, a 3-day virtual innovation festival involving close to 30 startups across 3 different areas: future of retail, future of advertising, and future of supply chain. Maybe I just wanted to check with you, how were these areas decided? Because you mentioned that the business units play a pivotal role. And aside from these 3, are there other areas that the P&G may be keen to engage local startups in the future?
Let me break that question into two parts. Firstly, you were asking how do we identify those areas? Well, we actually started with the understanding and a realization that the startup ecosystem is a great source of solutions and partners for innovation, especially in fast emerging or what's often called exponential technology areas. And digital technology is a great example of that. You know, we all know how the speed of chips doubles every 2 years. That same exponential growth is occurring in how then that software capability and computing capability is then being used for innovation purposes. And we recognize we can't keep pace with that internally. The speed at which it's moving is so great. And it's an area where startups, with their agility and their ability to move quickly, enables them then to be really at the leading edge. So digital is a booming area for startups. So with that understanding, we identified what would be the 3 critical areas from a business standpoint then where we're looking for innovation. And those are the 3 you mentioned: the future of retail, future of marketing, and supply chain reinvention. So that was the area then where we identified internally problem statements. And just like later today, you'll see a reverse pitch. We've then taken those problem statements out into the startup ecosystem, been very clear with what are the problems we're trying to solve. And we're very excited now that we have partners we're looking to develop proof of concept experiments with in each of those areas so that we can collaborate and learn together, so that P&G can apply those capabilities to grow our business. And we give an avenue for application of the startup's capabilities and technologies where we can then partner together to give them an avenue and route to market for those technologies, solving consumer problems. So that was the first piece about how we identified it. You then asked sort of, what do I foresee going forward? Well, actually, I foresee us continuing to innovate in the digital space. For instance, from an R&D standpoint, we've already been working and collaborating over the last couple of 2-3 years with startups here in the ecosystem. We're working on how do we get smarter operations, bringing digital technology into improving our operations. An example of that is we're working with a local startup already on how do we better schedule all of the consumers who come into our consumer research facility to help us run experiments and learn with the consumer. The solution for that is being worked with a local startup. We're also working with a spin out from the research community here in Singapore that I mentioned we collaborate with, where they are working on miniaturized high technology instrumentation that has historically been stuck in high-tech labs. We're now looking to how do we bring that into QC of our raw materials. Much more efficient, much lower cost, bring that technology, and that's where startups really play. So I foresee us continuing to want to collaborate with the startup community in the digital space, in the area of how do we get smarter operations, like that consumer scheduling tool I mentioned. How do we get smarter insights, like better insights on the raw materials we're working with, better insights for the consumer, and then how do we bring digital also into the consumer experience? So I foresee us continue to collaborate in that area. And I also see opportunities for us to collaborate in the sustainability space. I mentioned to you earlier about the technology we've developed for cold water washing, which dramatically reduces the need for hot water and therefore the carbon footprint and load that the consumer puts into the environment when they wash clothes. We're also looking, and I foresee us doing more work in the space of sustainable packaging. And that's part of my new role. How do we collaborate together to get to 100% of our packaging being recyclable? How do we deliver circular solutions and new business models that eliminate plastic waste? And how do we get paths to carbon neutrality? So those are areas I foresee us collaborating with the ecosystem more broadly on, bringing problem statements, getting clear on what the problems are that we're looking to solve, so that we can then partner together with external groups to develop win-win solutions where by solving the problems, both companies have business success and ultimately we serve the consumer.
Thanks a lot, David. And that was the last question. So thanks a lot. I think your sharing has certainly benefited both corporates and startups. For the corporates, it's really how to stay nimble and agile, even though you're a big corporation. And I think you mentioned it, like for every startup, P&G was also once a startup, but many years ago. So thank you very much. And
you're welcome.
Wish you all the best. Over to you, Wei Min.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan and David, for sharing the various outcomes and opportunities that lies in the space of open innovation. I sure hope we can bring about similar outcomes as shared with today's session. All right, so now we are heading to our final segment of today of the reverse pitch session. which is for our corporate partners to share their problem statements. I would like to take everyone through the sequence of presentation once again. I hope I don't sound too long-winded, but first off, we have Bosch Rexroth, followed by Infineon Technologies, then Daihatsu, then Toyota Daihatsu Engineering and Manufacturing, and last but not least, TPS Motor Company. Now, the format is this. Each corporate is given 10 minutes to do their sharing, followed by a 5-minute of Q&A section with you, the audience. Now, I strongly encourage for everyone to do the Q&A, to use the Q&A tab that is found at the bottom panel of your screen to key in your questions for our speakers. We will try to answer those questions as much as possible during the Q&A, and I would say it is one of the best opportunities to interact with our corporate representatives to see if you may have a solution to the problem. At the end of each Q&A segment, we will then transit over. We will have a very quick break to just transit over to our next speaker. And in our chat box, we will share a link to our open innovation page where startups could indicate which problem statements that you are interested in answering to. Of course, currently, you won't see any of the problem statements being shown there yet, as you would like to have your full attention on the presentations from our corporate partners. The problem statements will be up shortly at the end of the event. You may hit there to indicate your interest then. All right, so with no further ado, we will begin with our first corporate presenter, Javier Chan, i4.0 application engineer at Bosch Rexroth. Javier, please.
Hi, thank you, Wei Ming. Let me give me a moment to set up my screen. Okay, Wei Ming, is everything good with my screen?
Yep, looking good.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Javier. I'm an i4.0 application engineer from Bosch Rexroth. So today, I'm going to share with you some of our problem statements that we have. So let me give you an overview of our company in figures. So in 2020, the Bosch Group achieved 71.5 billion euros sales revenue, 2 billion euros EBIT from operation, and we have 395,000 Bosch associates worldwide at year end. And in total, we have 440 subsidiaries and regional companies in more than 60 countries. So under the Bosch Group, we have mobility solutions, industrial technology, energy and building technology, and consumer goods. So the mobility solutions remain as our focus business, where it contributes to about 60% shares of our sales. Next, as a subsidiary, Bosch Rexroth contributes to about 7% of the Bosch Group sales and 5.1 billion euros sales revenue in our industrial technology. We have approximately 31,000 associates. So actually, our two main businesses are actually in hydraulics and factory automation. So to drive the adoption of advanced manufacturing, we actually set up a Bosch Regional Training Center in the upcoming Jurong Innovation District. So we work towards this through certified trainings and also proof of concepts. Our objectives of this training center is to empower local SMEs to develop their fullest potential to compete on a global stage, invest in human capital through lifelong education and training, prepare a pool of highly skilled and competitive workforce, and continuously adapt to evolving technologies that suit the industry needs. So actually, our collaboration partners include Singaporean German Chamber of Industry and E-Commerce, government agencies, namely Jurong Town Corporation, SkillsFuture Singapore, and our training administrative and also Institute Singapore Polytechnic. These are some of our activities and initiatives with our other agencies and organizations. As you can see from the first, we have SGInnovate and various SME and Syntel for like 5G ideas, and even organizations such as SIAA, Specta, and AMTA to reach out to more SMEs and to help them to drive adoption of smart manufacturing. Recently, we also actually joined up the IHCI program to be on board and to reach out to more companies and to actually do our POCs with more companies if they are interested. And for training collaboration, we are also trying to work with TUSU. Okay, this is all for my introduction of Bosch Rexroth as a whole in terms of our overview of our figures and also activities and initiatives. So let me kickstart on the problem statement that we have. So my first problem statement is with regards to data collection from legacy machines. A smart factory is envisioned to be a fully interconnected and digitized one. So there's a need to fully visualize data from the production floor. However, legacy machines may not have the ability to produce such data. Legacy machines are generally known to be old, but vital machines. So they can be manufacturing machines like CNC, laser cutting, without IoT capabilities or features. IoT capabilities can refer to communication protocols commonly used in the IoT field like MQTT or OPC UA, and even features including sending data to the cloud platforms. Our current method to obtain data from legacy machines is to introduce sensors in a non-invasive way to extract data to our data acquisition unit for data processing, visualization, and analysis. However, there are still crucial data of these legacy machines or data from the manufacturing execution system not retrievable. In the case of CNC machining data, for example, feed rate, cutting speed, depth of cut, etc., are only stored within the machine itself and cannot be integrated with external condition monitoring systems. Apart from the condition monitoring data obtained by external sensors, these machining data are also useful and crucial to be monitored on the same dashboard. The limitation to these add-on sensors is that they cannot complete the picture of what the business owners have in mind to have an overview of external sensor data as well as machine or process data. It is a costly process in replacing legacy systems or machines with a new and smarter one. Therefore, the desired outcome for this solution is to be appended to these machines in order for data to be generated. The key users are from the management as well as the team in operations. The management tend to monitor the throughput and identify any bottlenecks, while the shop floor personnel are the domain experts who will interpret, analyze this data and follow up with suitable solutions or actions. So in all, this is an overview of the objectives and limitation of my first problem statement. Next, my second problem statement is the cost and effort analysis for I4.0 implementation. To implement I4.0 concepts, it can be to replace legacy machines with the state-of-the-art ones, to replace manual repetitive tasks with automation, or even to introduce new IoT technologies. These efforts are in hope to increase productivity or promote process transparency. In order to influence decision makers, there is a need to provide a cost-benefit analysis for these companies in digitizing their operations and embarking on the I4.0 journey. The solution has to be able to address and educate these companies on the benefits of I4.0 implementation and how to further lower the cost of implementing these new technologies. Okay, the reasons why business owners are unconvinced because they cannot see the results in a short period of time, and they have to spend resources on a concept which may not turn out to be successful. The cost of an I4.0 implementation may be high when the solution architecture can consist of various technologies and services. This is because each problem statement is unique to the individual companies. Apart from the cost, not to mention the effort and time required, an I4.0 proof of concept can take up to months to evaluate whether the proposed solution architecture actually addresses the discussed main point. Similar to the concept on high mix, low volume, it is not economical and sustainable to cater to many different use case requirements from the solutions provider's perspective. Despite providing courses to educate the top management or to train the shop floor personnel on I4.0 topic, there's also a poor registration of interest. In a nutshell, there's no ability to effectively visualize these benefits to convince the top management, and it is difficult for a large-scale internal review to produce a cost-benefit report for consideration to move towards I4.0 implementation. So this sums up the two problem statements that we have in mind. So who are we looking for? we are actually looking for Series A startups and above, preferably to have office in Singapore to provide technical support and business development. Series B are preferred because we have limited development capacity from our side. So startups should have a ready solution or products to be tested with relevant inputs from Bosch Rexroth. We are also exploring robust and wireless sensors. Wire is optional to collect a number of data in one sensor and can integrate with our data acquisition unit without an additional receiver hub for their sensors. Data should include at least vibration like 3-axis and environmental. Other notable applications are chemical, for example, pH levels, and even offshore for marine grade example. We have actually worked with one local startup called TransferFi. So their vision is to actually provide accessible wireless power to anyone, anywhere, at any time. Their core product is a long-range, safe, and efficient wireless power network. So you can see this is an example of their products and solutions. So how actually we collaborate with TransferFi? We came to know about TransferFi through IIOT during 2020, and we are in contact with the head of operations then. So following this IIOT event, we have an exchange of their solutions, their presentations, and we actually let them know what are our needs. Next, they will demo their solution and share the existing deployments they have, and we will actually analyze and see if they actually align with our requirements and objectives. To do this, we actually conduct a compatibility POC, proof of concept, to get familiar with their product, be it loan or purchase. As we conduct this POC, we do testing and validation of this product about 1 to 3 months time. And then after that, if this solution deems to be feasible and actually fits into our solution architecture, the next phase will be to venture into sales and project collaboration. As you know, I'm an i4.0 application engineer in Bosch Rexroth, and I have mentioned the vision of driving adoption in smart manufacturing. So my main role is to actually drive POCs. So using POCs, I can actually use this kind of solution and actually reach out to more SMEs or non-SMEs to meet their requirements, and they will be more aware of the solutions that I provide. So in a nutshell, this is how you actually can move forward with interested and aligned startups. You always start with a preliminary introduction of your solutions and technologies. Then if your objectives and requirements are aligned, we can proceed to have your solution tested and documented. If this solution is feasible and works well with our system, the solution will be included in our proof of concept solution portfolio. And then following, you have a more awareness and presence in the local market through our customers or projects. When a solution proves to be successful or scalable, you also actually can onboard our new product line called ControlX as a world partner. So this, we are not talking about just in the local market, you can also be promoted and gain market shares worldwide. So I think this is a very attractive offer as well from what we can provide. Okay, so this is all for my reverse pitch, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Javier. All right. So for startups that's interested, maybe Javier, you can just leave your contact details in the previous slide. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
We have 2 questions, but I think the 2 questions are a little bit confused with the presenting company. It was actually Bosch Rexroth, which largely talks about the problem statements specific to Infineon Singapore only, and also what's the preferred method to work with startups, which I believe you have already shared in your earlier example about with TransferFi about doing POCs together, and then greater discussion before determining whether the suitability can be further explored and scaled to be applied to your other clients, for example. So I'd just like to ask, has there been any further add-ons that you'd like to add with regards to the process, where apart from the POs, going into details, setting up a POC, is there also like a preferred method or pathway that you like to take for if startups have interest to say, okay, I may have a solution, but I will need to go down to see exactly what legacy machines that you are facing. How would this process go? Do we start arranging sessions for a group of startups to go down to see exactly what kind of information can they retrieve from these legacy machines, or what? Could you maybe just share some insight on this?
For a start, of course, we will analyze and also see what kind of solutions that they can provide. And if you say that the solution is not ready, and we actually can go down to probably one or two long-term or good relationship partners or customers, and then who are willing to be on board to explore new opportunities, new technologies. Then we can use this as a platform for these new startups to come on board, and then to look at these machines and see what can they further develop on it. So I think this can be done with arrangement and with my partners or customer if they are willing. Yeah.
Sure. So for startups who are interested, please be sure to just indicate your interest on our Open Innovation page. We will link you up with Bosch Rexroth for further discussion. Okay. I think we are running short of time for the whole 15-minute time period. So thank you, Javier, so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
And we'd like to move ahead to our next presenter from Infineon Technologies. Coming up next, we have two presenters. We have Hee Boon Kiat, Staff Engineer, Team Lead of Automation and Enhancement Team and Product Test Engineering, and Liu Jin Lau, Automation Director of Infineon Technologies. May I invite Boon Kiat and Eugene to come on and share your problem statement, please?
Sure. I think, Wei Ming, you first have to turn on my video because the host has stopped my video.
Oh, just give me a while.
Yep. Okay, I hope you can see me.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I think it's a very good opportunity for us to be here. Thank you to SGInnovate and EDB to invite Infineon Technologies to be part of this reverse pitch. Allow me to share my screen. Okay, I hope my screen is already showing.
Yep.
Thank you. So I myself is Eugene. Together with Boon Kiat, we have two problem statements that we would like to share with the community here. And then allow me to start by giving you a background of Infineon first. So Infineon, we are actually, as you know, a global leading semiconductor player with in the top 10 range of the semiconductor ladder. Worldwide, we have close to 47,000 employees. And then we are a leader in automotive systems, power management, drive, sensor systems, and other wireless and memory related arena, right? In a glance, Infineon, we have different business segments that we are serving. The largest, of course, being our automotive business segment. And then in the industrial power control, we have a footprint there too. And our power and sensor systems, not forgetting our connected secured system, where we are focusing a lot on the securities of our related products. In terms of employees, we have close to 47,000 employees worldwide, and the largest being in Asia Pacific with close to 22,000. So worldwide, we have close to 60 R&D locations and 19 manufacturing locations. In Singapore, we have one manufacturing location, which is actually considered to be the center of competency for innovation and automation on I4.0 items. And in Singapore, our factory in Kallang Way has been awarded the World Economic Forum Lighthouse for these automation aspects that we have been working on. In terms of the financials, yeah, I think you can see on year, our revenue has been growing strongly. And then this is something that is expected to continue throughout this few years because of, I think everyone know, on the high demand of the semiconductor in this COVID period that we are seeing. Market position, we are number one in both the automotive and power segment, and closely following up on the microcontroller, we are on the third, we are in rank as third. Yep. Okay, therein I will move on to my pitch. So the problem statement here, I think the community knows very well that there is two ways of looking at problem statements, right? We can look at problem statement from the problem-centric data analysis, whereby our engineers or engineers in anywhere will be looking at voluminous kind of a data to source out actionable insight through looking at all those data like OEE, yield, product data, recipe, machine alarm, etc., etc. So this, of course, is a high effort, time, and subject matter knowledge specific needed to actually identify the cause and effect. So what do we want to do? We have the focus area now, and we hope to move to looking at the opportunity-centric data analysis. Therein, opportunity-centric to look at data to identify areas of improvement, right? And this is why we are here now in this forum to look for partners of any AI analysis experts to partner us to look at these areas of improving, identifying improvement opportunities by looking at this opportunity-centric data analysis. And therein, we would like to focus our area to identify predictive maintenance for our automated material handling equipment. So this is something that is where we are looking to focus our effort on. Yeah. So what do we want to have in terms of the objectives from this POC? We want to see from this POC that we can establish an integrated integration tool whereby we can integrate the data extraction, transformation, and also loading. So this is one area that we expect the POC to help us achieve. And then from there, we can develop the AI data processing platforms to work on the data that we have extracted, transform, and load. Very importantly, as you know, Infineon is also has a worldwide footprint. Whatever AI POCs that we do, we should have it in a scalable form, which is implementable, and also across. And also, there is a chance for us to use your solution in our other cross-sites sister plants. Yeah. So we also hope that this will enable the domain expert to perform the data analytics independently rather than always banking back on the AI expert, right? Okay. So our desired end results. With the data we have extracted, we would like to work with the partners here who is interested to develop this AI algorithm. We also want this AI algorithm not just to be a one-off. We also hope that this can be packaged into a prototype that can recommend a suite of recommended tools and platform for the scalability aspects across sites and across areas. And then with this, we do not forget about the people too. In the main aspect of the problem statement is that the laymen themselves can also demonstrate the capability to do some prototype analytics with this POC outcome. Yeah. Therein, I think it is our vision to empower our engineers with the right data analytic tools. Right, we want them to have this right analytic tools to solve problems quickly on themselves, by themselves. Right, this would significantly improve the ability of our workforce, and then this is would make our workforce be more productive and give more effective solutions. Right, so In this way, you can see we will hope that this POC can share the domain experts' knowledge together with the data scientists' expertise to have a domain expert that have this AI smart discovery aspect to work on other solutions, predictive maintenance for other equipment areas also. Okay, therein I would pass it to Boon Kiat, my colleague, to share on the other second problem statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eugene. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, so Eugene, just to check, you can see my screen and I'm audible, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Eugene. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It is a privilege to be here today to share the next problem statement from Infineon. So I'm Boon Kiat from Product and Test Engineering Department in Peking, Singapore. Same office or same building as Eugene. The title here is called the Technical Resource Optimization for the engineering task. And the objective is to improve work efficiency for not only the technicians, but also for engineers and the company as a whole. So the problem statement here, as you can see, we have over 30 technicians with 24/7 support. They have different skill sets due to different needs across different platforms in our production line. And their tasks include the complex one like the equipment setup and buy off for first of a kind package technology, or can be a simple one like logistical unit collection for engineering purpose. So there are many other different tasks in between this spectrum in terms of the level of complexity. So the number here, 30 technicians, is confined to only our department. I saw the question at Q&A just now. So similar problem and the solution, of course, can be applied beyond our department, maybe with some modification. For example, the production and equipment maintenance team in the operation, or the similar function like us in other manufacturing sites within the Infineon. Yeah, so I'll move on to the limitations that we have. So for each of the tasks to be carried out, the engineer will need to manually plan and coordinate the necessary resources. And we have multiple independent systems to store different data. And we need to check back and forth on the system. So the data is there, and the data in fact is everywhere. So is, as you can imagine, for the engineers, it's quite manual and tedious to check back and forth on the system, and also with the technicians and with different people in order to plan the task for the technician to execute. Yeah, so for the solution or the objective, as we imagine how it will be, so the task creation to execution can be automated, as well as automatically prioritized according to the situation. So very importantly, I've highlighted the word technician profile. Our technicians have various skill sets and experiences across different areas in our production floor. They also have different training profile. For example, when there's a need for a new training for a new platform, and they will be sent for the new training. So I think we think their technical profiles can play a key role in who should be doing what in the most efficient way. So I would think that profiling of the technician is where the machine learning technique can be used based on thousands of tasks they have done in the past by individual technician. We also hope that the solution can help to forecast the overtime. So as in normal days, they do have overtime, and also we have the budget that we need to control within. So so if the forecasting or the demand and supply can be forecasted, this will help us to plan ahead for a foreseeable situation. For example, we have the volume ramp, like the current situation, we have certain ramping of certain volume, and also the allocation of the capacity. Yeah, so I think that predictive analytic technique can be useful here, but I'm not an expert in this topic, so I think it will be up to you, the startup, to decide based on our requirement. So finally, our end in mind is to have the one-stop solution, and the solution should be powered by data analytics behind the scene. We hope that we can, with this solution, we can be more data-driven in decision making and to use data analytics to complement on our people competency. So people as the most important asset we have. So the solution should also be an interactive solution. If possible, if it can run on a mobile device, because for our technicians, they are working in the production floor most of the time. And with the mobile device, they can react and report more effectively. And lastly, because we are also collecting personal data of our people, so I think the PDPA or the privacy rule should apply if necessary. So that's all I have. I would like to end with the final statement here. So if the task execution can be automated and also optimized continuously and also automatically driven by data analytics behind the scene, I think this will greatly improve our work efficiency. So that's all I have for today. Back to you, Wei Ming.
Thank you, Boon Kiat. All right, and also thank you, Eugene, for sharing
Thank
the
you.
statements right in Infineon. So if anyone would have questions for Boon Kiat and Eugene, please type in the Q&A tab at the bottom panel of your screen. So we may not have a lot of time left for questions, but I just asked the question to Eugene for what we have over here first. So I think this question from Saj Kumar is saying that, are you referring to the material handling system in fabrication plants like Daihatsu and others? I'm hoping that you may have understanding to that, answer the question. Yep.
Thank you for that question. I think this is material handling precisely is what you have mentioned about Daifuku, etc. But we also want to not just scope our problem statement to that area. We can be looking at predictive maintenance for other areas like our first and last mile, automated mobile robots, etc. Yeah. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Eugene. So maybe the next question to Boon Kiat. What's your position on manufacturing execution systems? Have you evaluated those solutions, or are you looking for alternatives?
Okay, so I guess this is from a manufacturing background. So the MES is one of the systems that we are using on a daily basis. They have all the transaction there, they have all the equipment information there, but this is not enough in order to automate the task, because we have also other systems, for example, the system to book the equipment, or the system to record the task, or for example, the engineering activities. We have the engineering buy-off for different test program or new product that's coming to us. Those are stored in different systems. So in order to do to execute a task or to have this solution, I think the data will be required from all the different systems.
Thank you, Boon Kiat. So perhaps I think I'll just wrap things up a little bit because we are really running short of time. I'll just maybe perhaps pose one last question.
Sure.
Is there any, are you open to working with growth stage startups, or is there a particular series of startups that you guys should be looking at working with?
Maybe I'll take that question. I think for our side here, we are, I would like to say we are more focused on the solution, I think, rather than the startup position or the startup status. So I think we are open.
All right, thank you both so much.
Thank you very much.
At the end of the session, we will be sharing the Open Innovation page link. You can go there to indicate your interest in submitting your solutions, and you'll be connected to Infineon after which. Yeah, so moving on to our next presenter, we will have Danupon San, Assistant Manager of Shock Reinforcement Assist Department, and Asawin Ball, Manager of Plant Sustainable Development Office from Toyota Daihatsu Engineering and Manufacturing. May I invite Asawin and Danupon, please?
Is this visible? Everything fine, right?
Are you able to turn on your video, Asawin?
Yes.
Yes, all right. Please take the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, please wait a moment. Okay. Everything fine, right?
Yep, everything's looking great.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone from Thailand. On behalf of TDM, I'm Aswin Bosov, who is the first representative to let you understand what is our problem that we are facing now. Before we go to that, I would like to introduce all of you a bit about our TDM company. We established in April 2007 with 90 million US dollar as the regional office in Asia Pacific region. We take two roles. Firstly, as the regional headquarters, which integrate all essential functions such as production preparation, production control, logistics, and after sales, to pursue the development of the automotive industry, including provide solutions and add value to our Asia sales and manufacturing company to contribute to customer in Asia. And second role, as the R&D center, we strive to meet customer needs through the development of our ever better car for Asia and global customer while maintaining Toyota high standard on safety, quality, and environment.
Sorry, Asawin, I think your slides are not moving. Could you try shifting your slides again?
Okay, maybe I will start to share again. It's short. Sorry, it's short. Stop. Is visible now?
Yes. Can you try toggling it? Yes. All right. Please continue. Okay. So sorry for the interruption.
Okay. And currently we are taking care like manufacturing companies in under 7 countries, and we have the vision toward 2030. We will innovate ever better mobility solutions of our Asian customer to uplift the standard of living and quality of life in every country in which we operate. And we have each 5 elements as you shown here. The first one, innovate. We find a new way that Toyota and live good and offer satisfy Asian customers. And second, ever better, we provide the most competitive offering to satisfy our Asian customers. And the third, mobility solution. We provide a green factory, high technology, and environmental friendly. And the fourth, standard of living. We provide a conversion, service on demand, and smart city initiative. By understanding the customer needs to offer a solution that can be beyond products, including service. And the last one, quality of life. We provide a sustainable future mobility of our people and our future Earth. And come to our first statement that we would like to let you understand. We have the ultimate environment challenge is called Plan Zero CO2 emission. And as you may see on this illustration that the burner has here is the oven process at baking the car body that's come out from the paint booth by use the heat convection from the burner. And the burner are the major equipment that highly consume gas. So even though we have done a lot of energy saving measure on the burner itself, so we are looking forward to hearing and getting the solution from the startup by changing the baking technology from the conventional baking by the burner of the oven to electrification or the others. And the next problem statement, the same as the estimate of the environment, Plan Zero CO2 challenge. So clearly we have been installing the solar power system in the potential area as much as possible. But during weekend, as you see on this figure, the electric demand as shown in this blue light is much lower than the solar power generation supply. So we are looking forward to getting the solution to manage this excessive energy from the solar by utilizing all remaining solar supply to the factory. And the next one, we would like to pass to Kun Anupon to explain the problem statement 3.
Thank you very much, Aswin. This is Danupon from I'm from maintenance section. So firstly, I would like to background of the maintenance in Toyota Asia Pacific. First, as we know that we have the 7 company in our alliance. However, in 7 company, we have around 12 manufacturing inside our alliance. And also right now, all region, we are focusing on the cost reduction. So our achievement is about how to improve maintenance cost competitiveness. Firstly, we are focusing on the spare part because the majority of our maintenance expense totally for majority is mostly of the expense to the spare part. So however, in this time, every manufacturing is affiliate. We cannot know each plant condition and cannot understand is the price of each manufacturing. Our problems is we have the price widely gap between each countries, such as the Thailand, Vietnam, or Indonesia. Even the same spare part, we have the widely different in price. And also based on that, we also unknown the stock numbers of each spare part also. And the other is the ordering lead time is very difficult because most of the spare part came from Japan, some spare part came from the Europe. So it takes the lead time for more than 3 months to get the spare part. However, in our affiliates, if we can make the collaboration and make the community to can see and share the know-how and share the spare part stock available, that is which is the better way for us. So the solution, and we would like to establish and innovate the centralized spare part database system in order to share the spare part stock. So our affiliate or manufacturing can see and can lending, or they can purchasing some spare part between each manufacturing instead of they have to purchase from Japan, because some parts are obsolete or some disused, but it's maybe beneficial for some countries. So our proposal is making the data and information centralization for spare part first. So that is all of the maintenance.
Thank you, Kun Danupon. So that is all of our TDM problem statement. Is there any query from startups? Please rise up.
Yes. So thank you, Danupon and Sawin. All right. Looking at the questions that have been posted so far, some Jingyi asked regarding your spare part business. Have you or do you have adopted 3D printing technology to have a digital inventory?
No.
Yeah. So will there be interest in pursuing a greater level of discussion in exploring 3D printing solutions then?
Actually, it's quite not related, but for 3D printing is some about the how to say, like for trial parts for maintenance is possible, but this is looking for the wider area for centralized for the information that we can exchange the information between manufacturing, not only the some machine or some 3D printing.
Okay, then
Yes.
Perhaps following on this point about parts, I think the
Yes.
question, the interest is on are you all looking to having these spare parts custom made, or more towards the interest of procuring them off the shelf?
Yes, we are interested in the like a system for information sharing.
All right. So basically, I assume that you mean for systems that for information sharing, you're
Yes.
actually considering to have
Yes.
greater level of discussion to develop this system together. Am I say that?
Yes.
Yeah. And I understand that currently, due to the interest and in having more discussions and exploring of the solutions, there is actually no preference in terms of the stage that the startups are at. So they can be a growth stage or Series A, Series B. You are good to have this level of discussion with the startups out there.
Yes, that's great.
All right. Okay, there is maybe a last question is that what is your engagement model with startups? Could you maybe share, has there been any examples or use case that how have you been working with startups so far? Danufon or Sawin, would you like to take the question? Or are we just open to just have a greater discussion and to start off this journey rather than having an existing model to share?
Yes, it's basically for TDM. We never worked with startup before, but here is our first time that we have joined this startup pitch.
All right. Okay, so I guess there's a lot of room for exploration, which actually makes the whole idea of open innovation exciting. So we definitely welcome more startups to share their interests in answering to the 3 problem statements that TDEM has shared so far. And we look forward to startups submitting their interest then for us to facilitate this level of conversation. All right, so thank you, Danufon. Thank you, Sawin, for sharing. And we move on to our last but not least corporate sharing for today by Dr. Devarajan. May I invite Dr. Devarajan to come on? Yeah, yes. So from TVS Motor Company to share more about the problem statements. Dr. Devarajan, please.
Yeah. Are you able to see my screen? Good afternoon.
No, I'm not seeing the screen. Could you try sharing the screen again?
Yeah. Just a minute, I'll share my screen. Able to see my screen?
No, actually. All right.
1 minute, I'll share my screen. No, host has stopped it. You cannot share your video because host has stopped it.
I'm seeing you managed to share the screen now. Actually, would you?
Is it okay? You able to share my screen?
I'm actually looking at your folder.
Oh.
Okay, Dr.
1 minute, 1 minute. I'll try to share my screen again. You're able to see my screen now?
No, actually. Why not? Let's make it this.
Okay, I'll share 1 minute.
Yeah.
Able to see?
Yes. You can put it full screen and we are good to go. Yep. That's
okay. Right. Sorry for the disturbance. Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Daihatsu from TVS Motor Company. It has been a great learning in this reverse pitch. We at TVS Motor also feels very happy to share the discussion with you. TVS Motor is a group of diversified conglomerates, about 8 million. We started in 1911 and over 100 years of heritage built with passion and hard work. So we make two-wheelers and three-wheelers of entire range, from moped to the scooter to the motorcycle, and also on the three-wheeler and the electrical next generation vehicle. Yesterday also we launched a new version called Build to Order in Apache, where you can order the requirement of the customer. We have state-of-the-art factories in 4 areas, 3 in India and 1 in Indonesia outside India. We are present in around 70 countries, and our products are definitely welcome all over the world. We also make vehicles for BMW on the 350cc range for the local market. We have been growing in the CAGR of around 12%, and we make something like 3.8 million per year. This has been the growth of around 12% every year on year. In terms of our development, we have an exclusive digital group and data analytics team established over the 5 years back to take the latest development, and we are connected inside the factory end to end by using SAP HANA. All the major critical processes have been captured in the factory. We have a secured IT and IoT network, and we started using the simulated shop floor work before installation and simulated on digital twin. And we have been the first company in India to get assessed by Siri by the TUV of ACDB. In terms of the new development, we also have in terms of spare parts manufacturing, on the 3D printing, we make our own mobile robots using humanoid robo engagement, and also on the AR/VR for service requirement and training. So coming to the different projects we're looking at, I saw the last 3 projects which has been shared by other team members. I'll be going into the shop floor, where our projects are meant to increase the benefit for the shop floor. The first project has been improving the paint transfer efficiency through AI and ML. So what is this project about? Achieve uniform paint coverage in the two-wheeler. And we have a robotic painting process, and we want to extend use of AI ML solutions into this. And give a background of this, two-wheeler parts are painted in a robotic painting plant on a moving conveyor. The different programs on spray painting, we have a robo spray painting process. And the programs are developed by trial and error process based on the parts that needs to be painted. It has been an iterative process, and we have to modify the robo parameter. And it's a trial and error method to obtain the best transfer efficiency. So how do we measure transfer efficiency? It's a ratio of the paint deposited on a part to the total paint sprayed by the weight method. Okay, this is highly skill oriented because it has sort of robo programming needed. So if you go into this, the top is the process. We have IPA, wiping, primer, and the blue portion on the base coat robo and the top coat robo. The paint is sprayed by the shaping air and the gun, and it's a highly electrostatic process. We have the painting done on a conveyor and by robotics and the manual painting too. The output also depends upon a lot of noise factors in terms of the air, booth balance, ambient temperature. So we have to take all these conditions to determine the transfer efficiency with a good quality. The paint appearance is very important in the waviness, brilliance, DOA. We have a total coat around 100 microns. So it is a combination of chemistry of the paint, the mechanical portion of the robotics, as well as the good paint requirement of the finish. So our main intention is to improve our transfer efficiency by 30%. how it can be done, or the method is to AI/ML. The vision system scans the painted jig, captures the image, because we have variety of parts going into the paint plant. So based on the part which is going in, we have to optimize the robot part using the AI/ML and ensure that parameters are obtained. Because there are a wide variety of parts, the robot program is not optimized for each part, so it has to check. Trial and error verification is time consuming, so we have to ensure that the paint is done. So the conditions are, we can develop a POC and develop on a sample part. We have to develop a vision system capable of functioning in a paint straight line. Very important. And show our proficiency of AI/ML. And we can work with Fanuc and Yaskawa because they are the robo suppliers for us. And we prefer to have an Indian office or a tie-up with an Indian supplier, because multiple iterations are required. We need to have source code sharing and training of all the TVS members done either sides. So this is the first project. The second project is another plant-oriented thing to improve the online inspection of the using intelligent vision system. So the main thing is to ensure that a defect-free vehicle go to the customer. How? Again, by the vehicle build quality using vision system, AI and ML, and hence develop a vision system for inspection of the finished parts. So we are looking like a visual defect-free. We have to inspect the fit and finish, paint defects, missing parts. Definitely, we are looking at capable of connecting the problem to the area in which the result to the area of the problem is defined to. Connecting the defect to the stage where the defect is happening to send alert to the area. So this is an area where the conveyor is going on. And this is a vehicle. These are the parts in terms of the gap identification, paint defects, sticker, jetting. So when it comes from the conveyor, this is an area where we want to introduce a vision-based system. It has to scan the SKU number on the main line and inspect the vehicle for the defects and give a feedback to the stage where the problem occurs. We have both type 1 and type 2 error, which is between the man and the machine. The man may be okay, the machine may be right, and the machine may be okay, the man may not be right. These are the disagreements which we want to overcome. And the camera is not able to clear we tried this, not able to clear the minor dust particles still. So we need to have a good vision system, and we need to get a repeatability. We should ensure repeatability. The most important thing is in the conveyor. We have to have within 26 seconds, the conveyor is moving at a speed of around 5.5 meters per minute. So what are the conditions? It is preferable if supplier is able to establish a system inspecting a part on a moving conveyor of 5.5 meters per minute. It should be easy for improvement and enhancement for various models. The people should have AI and ML capabilities, edge analytic capability, good camera and the vision system, knowledge of using API and the ERP and internet, because we want to get back into the system itself. We prefer to have people capable of doing it inside, because we may require multiple iterations to be done to resolve type 1 and type 2 error. Okay, and the source code sharing and training to TVS members to be done for the service. So these are the two major projects we are looking at from this starter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Devarajan. All right. So for startups who may have questions for the TVS Motor Company, please do insert your questions into the Q&A box located at the bottom panel of your screen. So in the meantime, perhaps I'll just have a question posted to Devarajan. Is there any, are you open to working with overseas startups that doesn't have a local office in India?
Both the projects require a lot of iteration. So because it has to have an involvement of both us and the startups. So we can have an initial discussion, however, but for making a faster progress, it's better to have an interaction closer to the factory.
All right. Then perhaps we can re-angle the understanding of the whole relationship with startups. Have TVS worked with startups before, and how has the journey been like?
Yes, we have worked with startups in the last few years, and it's quite a learning experience for both us and the startup, because ours is a manufacturing industry where it requires a lot of interaction with the startups and into our factory environment. We find it quite, but we are trying to work in a systematic way, saying that understanding the requirements in a clear way, try to do POC so that our understanding and the startups solutions are known. And also we like to work as an extended partner, not just giving the problem to the startups. So we also work very closely because we have a digital team and we have a data analytics team too. However, we would like to look at a startup who can bring technology to the table. So it's a combined effort, we know, but they should be well integrated, implemented way, because many of the startups, we have good solutions, but the integration for implementation has to be enhanced or improved on. So that's why we try to work very closely with the startups, and we feel that it's an interactive way.
Okay, thank you so much. Perhaps to wrap this up with a last question. So the company founder, who has a company based in both Singapore and India, would like to propose a video-based solution. So what, apart from the connecting portion, what other criteria can you possibly share in selecting your partner, your startup partner, in working for the problem statement share?
You lost the voice. I'm not able to hear you.
Yeah.
Can you repeat, please? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I would like to ask, is there, apart from those things that I'm looking for shared earlier in the presentation, are there other criteria that you can share with our startups here on the selection of a startup partner working on the problem statements?
Once the problem, if the interest is shown, we can work one-on-one on the startups, and definitely we will share the information needed. But whatever information I've shared very openly, because it is a very detailed presentation which I made. So any further information, we can definitely work one-on-one with the startups.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Devarajan.
Thank you.
All right. So we have come to the end of today's session, and thank you for all the attendees who have stayed with us so far. And of course, with that said, I would like to represent SGInnovate to thank all our speakers from Bosch Rexroth, Infineon Technologies, Toyota Daihatsu Engineering and Manufacturing, and TVS Motor Company. I do hope that we will receive great submissions from startups to answer all the problem statements shared today. And of course, I think we have received a lot of questions. Okay, now is towards the end of the session. How do you guys actually go about submitting your problem statements? Now, most of the problem statement has already been updated on SGInnovate's Open Innovation page. You could actually now head over to our Open Innovation page to take a look at the problem statements that have been shared today. And there's actually a form for startups where you can actually use to indicate exactly which problem statements that you have an interest in. From then on, do give us some time. We will consolidate all the responses and share with all the corporates today, and then we will see how we can take the conversation forwards between yourself and all the representatives today. And of course, do also keep a lookout to our post-event mail, which will contain a recording of today's session, and reach out to us at events@sginnovate.com if you'd like to connect further with all our speakers or to have a chat with us for collaboration opportunities as well. Yeah, so the Open Innovation page link has been shared in the chat. You may indicate your interest there for each of the problem statements shared today. Do also remember to give your post-event feedback when you exit the webinar or through the post-event mail as well. With that, this is Wei Min signing out from this webinar. I hope that everyone will have a great day ahead. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hope to have you again in our next webinar session. Thank you and goodbye.